Morning, guys. Welcome to Coffee with Tim via YouTube. I have been threatening to make this change for a while now. Finally got around to it today. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, thus a couple minutes late getting started. But nonetheless, welcome to YouTube. So why YouTube? Why the change? Why not Facebook Live? Well, there's a number of reasons why, none of them that we really need to go into in depth. Just the fact that I can do more with the videos when they're done. I can post them far more easily to a lot of different platforms than I can via Facebook. And yeah, this is where you're supposed to be when you grow up. So we've been doing this for a long time. If this is your first time tuning into Coffee with Tim, we had been doing this via Facebook Live, and I had been reading my book Perseverance, which if you have not had the opportunity to pick up, it was written a little bit ago now, and published by Penguin Random House Canada. And if you don't know who they are, I'll just brag a little bit and say they are the largest publisher in Canada. They bought my manuscript a while back, published the book, and it's done very, very well in North America, a little bit around the world. Very pleased by that. And things have gone well. So if you haven't had a chance to pick that up, you can pick it up on my website, which is TimSr.ca. or on Amazon. It's on Kindle, it's on Audible, anywhere that you like to find good books, either electronic or listening to it. And yours truly had the opportunity to listen to it or to record it, and yeah, worked out quite well. So welcome to Coffee with Tim. This is again, if you're new, my name is Tim Hague Sr. I'm a speaker, a writer, a Parkinson's advocate, and I have Parkinson's disease. I am also a PD Avenger. Welcome to Coffee with Tim, and this is Conversations on Life and Parkinson's disease. So we'll talk about a variety of things from week to week. We try to show up here every Friday around 10 o'clock. I might change that a little bit because my meds are typically due around 10 in the morning, and I find that I'm awfully shaky about the time that I sit down to do this. So I took them a little early this morning, and so that is helping. But nonetheless, we'll talk about Parkinson's, we'll talk about just regular old life, maybe try to find some inspiration, some encouragement for you, and yeah, share what's going on. So often folks catch me after the live videos. If you're tuning in after the live videos, that's great. Just make sure that each and every one of you hit that subscribe button down below there. That will tell me all the good news that I need to know, that not only am I talking about things that you find interesting, that you're enjoying it, but yeah, you want me to continue. So hit the subscribe button. Make sure you do that before you go anywhere. And then if you want to find out more stuff about me as life goes on, you can find things at my website, TimSr.ca, as well as uturnparkinsons.org. That is our wellness center here that we run in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, for people living with Parkinson's, and the all-important pdavengers.com. So those three are TimSr.ca, uturnparkinsons.org, and pdavengers.com. And that'll tell you almost everything that you'd want to know about Tim Hague Sr. and what he does in life. Well, today, Friday, September the 18th, I am doing something today that I both hate and love all at the same time. We find ourselves in these peculiar positions from time to time, and today I am renewing my mortgage. Yes, renewing my mortgage, and I hate doing this. I absolutely hate doing this. I used to be that guy who would, you know, every time a new cell phone company would come out with a slightly better deal, I'd change. I'd change companies, I'd change providers because I'd save a buck. And you know, back in the day, it was horrendous. You'd go through all of this work to change, and then 6 months later, a year later, the next guy would come out with a better deal. And every time you had to go through all this hassle to change, you had to change your phone number, yada, 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 yada. So I finally got to a point in life where my dear wife said to me, never again. On top of the fact that I would just get sick of it. So yeah, we just don't change very often anymore. It takes a lot to get us to change a provider for anything. But my good son came to me a number of weeks ago and says, Dad, interest rates are just smoking. you need to look at redoing your mortgage. And we had just redone our mortgage. Now, all my American friends who might be tuning in here, it's not the same in Canada like it is in the States, and wherever you live, it's probably not the same there. But here, the banks have figured it out. They lock you in for a max of 5 years. They'll maybe amortize it over 25, 15 to 25 generally, but they'll lock you in only for 5 years so that in 5 years you're guaranteed to have to change that mortgage. Now, when I was a kid, Mom and Dad never changed their mortgage. They had it locked in for a 30-year term. It was whatever it was, and unless your interest rate was through the roof, nobody ever thought about it again. Well, here you have to think about it, minimum every 5 years. So a year ago, we changed our mortgage. It was up, and we went and we did the deal, and you'd go through the heartache of filling out all the forms, and you feel like you go through everything except the doc snapping a glove on, you know what I mean? Because they want to know everything about you, and somehow you never feel quite adequate enough. Right? Am I right? So a year ago we did this. But now, mortgage rates are crazy. Like, it's crazy. I remember the day back in the 80s where mortgage rates were 18, 20%, right? We are being offered a mortgage for 2%. 2%, and it started off when Tim Jr. called me at 2.14%, and I thought that was awesome. And in our conversations, it has dropped to 2%. So, yeah, we're going to go in this afternoon and sign the papers and do the deal, and it's all done. Because now the good news is with COVID, nobody wants to meet with you, right? Stay away, we'll send you all the documents, give us all the information, and we'll take care of it. So that's what we've done. So now all we have to do is go in and sign the doggone thing. So COVID has actually made this process a little easier. So, yeah, we're going to go in, sign the thing, get it done, because at the end of the day, it's going to save me a bunch of money. Would I go through this pain for kicks and giggles? No, because I hate it. I absolutely hate doing it. But we are looking at even with paying a penalty, we're looking at saving a ton of money over the course of the term of the mortgage, right? And I find that, well, and I should tell you that the second real reason this is getting done is because my dear wife is a bookkeeper. If you know me at all, you know our traditional roles in this household are flipped. I'm the nurse, she's the bookkeeper, and we love it that way. You would not want her as your nurse. You would not want to be sick in a hospital and have her come in and see something and puke on you. Just wouldn't work. You don't want me doing your books because I don't care if you're out $50. I just don't. It's got to be a significant amount of cash before I'm going to spend hours looking for that decimal point to be rounded off correctly. I'm just not going to do it. Her, on the other hand, she will spend hours, and thank God they're billable hours, until she rectifies that $50 mistake in your books. So I guess, there we go. That's the way it should be. So she walks through most of the hard stuff with this as far as the books are concerned, the numbers, and we get there. So we're going to go in, sign a deal today, and get it done. And I find the interesting thing about life is that we're often willing to do things we don't like, that we find uncomfortable, if we're pretty much guaranteed a payoff at the end of the day. Right? If there was no payoff for this, if I didn't think I was going to save a bunch of money, I wouldn't have gone through the havoc I have the last few days with two different banks, one trying to keep me, the other one trying to get me to do this. But there's a significant payoff at the end of it. So I want to talk about getting the things we need versus the things we want. Getting the things we need versus the things that we want. A number of years ago, I went through the trial of deciding to go back to school. Now, see, I was a nurse for 21 years, and I went to school back in the dark ages where all you had to do was go to a local hospital. Most of the local hospitals had a nursing program. You go and you sign up. It's a 2-year program, 2 10-month semesters. You come out, you're a general duty RN. You have your diploma in nursing and you're an RN. So that's what I did. That's what everybody did back in the day. You come out and you work your way along. And we understood in the day that we were the worker bees. We did the grunt work. We did the labor. We were the ones with the dirty hands generally. We were in deep, okay? That's the way it was, and I enjoyed it. Well, as time progressed, the diploma came along. Not the diploma, the degree program came along, and suddenly everybody was supposed to get their degree. Well, you read Perseverance, you know me, I've never been an academically inclined guy. I'm not dumb, I can study, I was on the honor roll all through nursing school, I can do well, but it's just not my forte, I don't enjoy it. So the idea of me going back to school for any reason just didn't play well. And so I avoided it like the plague, always, always, always. Until I found myself in management, and my boss, a wonderful gal, her name was Brenda, wonderful director at St. Boniface General Hospital, she started bugging me to go back to school because I was in a management position that technically required my BN, if not a master's. And in time, if I wanted to progress, I kept being told that not having my master's was a career-limiting decision. Okay, well, what do you do with that, right? Well, I looked at the cost. I looked at the fact that nobody wanted to do the job that I was in. I decided to take the risk and just keep on doing what I was doing. But in time, Brenda said, you've got to start taking classes. You have to. And so I did. And then she started saying that you should be going to a school called Royal Roads to finish your master's. You can do a degree in public health, I think it was, or health leadership, something like that. And it's a degree and a degree completer and a master's over 2 long years. Very intense, but you can get it done in 2 years versus going back, finishing your degree, and then going on to master's. Short story is that in time she talked me into it. I really respected her. She was very encouraging to me, so I decided I'd do it. And this was after a long conversation between Cheryl and I that I did not want to do this. Trust me, folks, I did not want to do this. This was a nightmare scenario for me. It would have involved 2 different stints of going out to BC by myself in school for a couple of weeks, doing group projects and all the nightmare things you want to pull your hair out over, right? I did not want to do this. But in time, I relented. I said, you know what? It's the right thing to do. I'm young. I've got a long career ahead of me. There are going to be opportunities that I'm going to want to take that I'm not likely going to be able to if I don't. So I said yes. I needed to take a intro to writing class to get into the school. So I went and took an intro to writing class here in Winnipeg. I was so determined to make this work well that I had 2 friends, a niece and a friend of mine, both who teach intro to writing or basic writing, whatever that class is called. Forgive the Parky moment here, can't remember anything. But each of them taught this class, one at University of Winnipeg, the other one at University of Manitoba. And I would have them read my papers. It was all mostly paper-based, because it's writing class, right? And I would have them read my papers because I needed to get a B+ in this class, a B+. No, basic honor roll stuff, nothing crazy. And I was confident that I could do this because I enjoyed writing, I enjoyed speaking. It all kind of goes hand in hand, right? And on we go. Short story, I was 3 marks short of a B+ in that course. After having every single one of my papers proofread by 2 other profs, the individual grading my papers where I wanted to go wasn't having it. It wasn't going to happen. And let me tell you, I was ticked off. I was mad. I was angry. I got to the end of that class. I ended up with just shy of a B+ by those 3 marks, and I was livid. I challenged it. I took it to the administration of the school. I did everything that I knew to do to get that B+ mark. And do you think I ever got it? No. To this day, never got it. Did not go to school. My boss at work was horribly disappointed, and I felt like a bit of a twit. So what do you do? What do you do? You grit your teeth and you carry on. And then you apply for the Amazing Race Canada. And here's the interesting caveat, folks. Had I got into school, had I got into school, I would have not applied for the Amazing Race Canada. Because the Amazing Race Canada would have fallen dead middle of that class period, those 2 years, and there's not a chance I would have applied for the race, because even if I would have thought maybe I would get on, there's no way I would have stepped out of class, because it cost too much, the personal investment was too much, the commitment to work would have been too high. There's no way I would have said yes to applying for the Amazing Race Canada, and I would never have been on the show. Tim Jr. and I would have never made it on. We would have never run the race, let alone we would have not have won the race. And let me tell you something. What are we looking at here? We are 7 years from the race. That was probably 2 years prior to that. So we're looking at 8, 9, 10 years since that experience. I have had the opportunity to travel the world speaking. I have had the opportunity to start a wellness center for people with Parkinson's. I've had the opportunity to write a book that was bought and published by the largest publishing company in Canada, because I didn't get what I wanted. We often are really ticked when we don't get what we want. And yet if I'd got what I wanted, I would not have got everything that I have. And I would dare say I would not have got what I needed. Because this ride has been incredible. So I want to ask you, during COVID, during life right now, life is difficult. It's not fun. And bear with me here, because I know there is a continuum of problems with COVID. There are those who have been impacted very little. There are those who have had their lives turned upside down. So I don't want to minimize anything. I don't want to downplay anyone's hardship. And I don't want to sound like anything is just trite. But I do want to ask the question, do we need to change our attitude, our how we look at COVID, the difficulties that we're facing in COVID? And again, some of you are facing horrendous difficulties. So please don't take this in any way as a trite response to the very hard realities that many people face. But I think for some of us, we can stop and say, do I really need to be in the headspace that I'm in? Do I really need to have the bad attitude that I've had? Do I really need to see this as the negative that I have felt it to be? Can I look at this somehow different? Can the difficulties that's come along be leading me somewhere where I can't imagine? Is it taking me somewhere new that I need to go, that I wouldn't go? I would not go if it weren't for COVID doing this thing in my life. It's a thought I want to encourage you with. Maybe COVID is taking you somewhere. Maybe the difficulties in life are taking you somewhere that you would have never chosen to go on your own. That a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, you will look back and you will say, thank God I didn't get into school. Thank God I did not have that happen. I thought that's what I wanted. I thought that's what I needed. But in fact, I needed COVID to shift me here. And I never would have made the shift had it not been for COVID. Now, maybe you'll get to the end of it and nothing will change, and you'll come back to me and say, Tim, you suck. Well, if that's your reality, I apologize. I'm sorry. But the fact that remains is that I think there are times in life when, and this may be one of them, where we need to stop and reconsider how we're viewing our reality. And that while we're in the depths of despair sometimes, and we're just frustrated and we don't know when this nonsense is going to end and things are going to get better, sometimes we just need to shift our perspective a little bit and understand that we may be on a path to somewhere far better than we can ever imagine. We just need to stay on our journey and complete the race. And that leads me to joy. I was sitting talking to one of my kids last night, and Cheryl. We were sitting talking about what it means to be happy. And my daughter brought up that, you know what, she often right now doesn't feel happy. But at the end of the conversation, she says she does feel joyful. And we understood the difference. You know, it reminds me of a quote that I have in Perseverance that says, happiness is a ice cream cone on a warm summer's day. It is nice, it is fun, it is sweet, until the sun melts it and it drips all over your hand, or the ice cream falls off the cone, until the sun goes behind the clouds, until the circumstances change. And then happiness changes. It evaporates. It goes away. And my daughter understood the difference between that, happiness, and joy. That contented response that says, my life is okay, my life is good as it is, even with the difficulties. There's a sense of understanding that I'm in a good place, that I have a roof over my head, I'm being fed, I have income coming in, life is fine. And that is a place of joy, rather than the circumstances of life being the only factor that defines what joy is. I know that I'm on a path that's leading me to a better place. I know that I'm going in a direction that I should be going, and I'm content with that, even amongst the difficulties. So this week, as you carry on, as you walk through your week or your weekend, I want to encourage you to remember that at times life takes us where we need to go versus where we necessarily want to go. And that it's just good to remember that we can't see the future. We can't always know the future. We don't always know exactly how things are going to turn out. And that we can trust that things will be okay. And that is my thoughts for this week on Coffee with Tim, conversations on life and Parkinson's. We won't always talk lots about Parkinson's, but everything we've talked about sure impacts Parkinson's today. So I encourage you to hit the subscribe button if you like what you hear today. Share it with your friends when you see this post come out on social media, etc. Share it with your friends, let others know. And Lord willing, we will be back here next Friday and every Friday to talk about life and Parkinson's with Tim Sr. Until then, stay joyful, live your best, persevere, and if you haven't yet, go to pdavengers.org and become a PD Avenger. We'll talk to you later, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.